Welcome back to Chillers, guys, with myself, Nadine, and the lovely Emma.
Hey.
All the way from New York, don't you know?
Oh, very good. So, you're going to have to work on that just a little bit more, though.
No, it wasn't necessarily from Brooklyn.
Yeah, so Brooklyn.
I'm actually going to give it up because I'm shaming myself, and you certainly didn't shame yourself when you got the opportunity to work with Tule Dumakudi.
Correct. Yeah, well, when we started, it was a pretty small little production in like a cabaret type of cafe, but it just kept growing. This show was called Booyah Africa, and it was really Sis Tule was just telling stories, and we backed it up with very sparse instrumental, but we did some bakanga, we did some marabi, some maskanda, that kind of thing, and then it was pretty much all her. And then as the show got popular, we kept getting into bigger theaters. So we ended up having 3 runs and ended up coming over here and doing it in Grahamstown. Back in 1994, we did it at Grahamstown, and we had a 6 or 8 week run at the Civic, at the Joburg Civic. This was back in '94, I think it was. So it was beautiful. We had a great time.
That's all very impressive, especially being a non-African type of a chap, to be given the opportunity to actually direct this in its entirety.
Well, I didn't direct. I was the musical director, which is a little bit different. So I did, welcome Somi. Hey, welcome. I wouldn't take your place. He directed the show.
But it's good enough. Hey, impressive.
Oh, yeah, it was quite a thrill for me. It was really exciting.
So now we've progressed, we've moved on, and you're sort of making your own version of a fusion of the sound.
Yeah, after Tule ended up doing Lion King, and she was Rafiki on Lion King. So in the period after that, I ended up working with a lot of different African artists in the world music community, both in New York and on this side. My main gig, I was the guitarist for Sami Tay of Uganda. I toured with him for a number of years, toured and recorded with him.
Around the whole of Africa?
All over the world.
Sure.
I also worked with Hassan Hakmoun and Zahar. He's the Moroccan artist. He's an incredible Ganawa artist. Fore Musa Suso, Fore Kuyate, they're kora players from Gambia. So anyway, I kind of was able to kind of absorb Africanness from a lot of different parts of the continent.
How about that, Emma? Because I know there's this whole big of a deal where the rest of the world seems to view, the element of Africanized music in sometimes, and we've touched it a few times on the show, there's a slight element of patronization. It's almost like a little novelty factor that's interspersed, and especially if it's coming with all the respect in the world from a white chap. Sure,
absolutely. Well, I'm not quite sure how to address that as far as the patronization aspect. I think what happens is because I come at it from the Western world, so what we try to see happen is more the demysticization of Africa, because the Western world still has a real stereotypical view of Africa through the music, and I mean through the media that comes through. So, I'm not quite sure I know how to answer or address the issue of patronization. As musicians, man, all we're trying to do is we're all trying to come together in kind of a transcultural way, and do the music. It's really about
I guess it was more the hurdles of overcoming that element, because it has been that patronization and novelty factor has been satirized a little bit. And it goes in waves. You get you're adhering to sort of whatever ethnic trend is occurring. You've got your India and everything goes Bollywood.
Right, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and a lot of that, it comes very kind of formulaic, kind of commodified. I think that's what you're kind of getting at.
All a bit bongos.
And that's part of what I'm doing now. That's an issue, because they're trying to figure out how to categorize what we do, because I don't, on the rock side of things, there's a little bit too much of a world element to what I do, a considerable world element to what I do, and so the industry people have this, well, we're not quite sure what to do with you. And then you actually, honestly, you run into the same issues with the more, let's say, the orthodox world music genre, because if you're not purist, right, hybridization is kind of a weird thing. There seems to be a better acceptance of hybridization when it's 2 non-Western cultures coming together, let's say Morocco and Tanzania. But when it's Western and African, or Western and Latin, or Western and Eastern, you tend to run into there are a lot of naysayers. There are a lot of people that say that shouldn't happen, because I don't know if it's a post-colonialist mentality or not, but
But you're here to break it all down.
Man, that's exactly what we're all about. We're all about what we're all about, what I'm all about, and the music is all about philosophically finding all of those universal threads that run through all of humanity. Music is a great way to do that, because no matter what the culture, no matter what the style, there are universal elements that run through all of it. All of it, I don't care what culture, what language, where you're from. And to me, that's what this is all about. The music is finding all those universal threads and making them tie together regardless of the culture. So, you know, with respectful nods to every culture.
No,
so,
but of course.
You know,
and you're doing that by way of your own album ownership now.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Which is sounding all very fabulous indeed, and I believe that you're.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
hey, cool.
I'm saying that from a genuine ear.
Shop. That's very cool.
Jolly
yeah.
well listened to it myself, so I did, and I understand. I mean, it's something that you've put together and are releasing yourself entirely independently.
Entirely independently. Like I said, some of the industry doesn't quite know what to do with me yet, so we're going about this independently. Fortunately, the environment technologically and the way the business model is changing, it's much more welcoming for an independent artist to try and make his way. So that's what we're doing. We've released the album independently. I have my own record label. It's called Anthrotone.
Okay.
And we're out there virally in the ether all over the world, in iTunes and Amazon and all that. And but I'm over here because so much of my music is predominantly, not only is it predominantly South African in the sensibilities, but the majority of the musicians on my album are South African, both from stateside and from this side.
So who have we got?
We have stateside, we have Ian Herman is my drummer on the album, from Tananis and Vusi Mahlasela and Hugh Masekela fame, although I suppose everybody plays with Hugh at some point or another.
Well, we're pretty familiar.
And Bagiti Kumalo does almost all the bass work on the album, so I worked with them both on stateside. And then on this side, the lovely, I'll shout out to Faith and Stella. Faith Kekana and Stella Kumalo are doing all the vocals with me. And Kaya Mashlangu is playing tenor, McCoy Mirubata is playing alto, and I'm leaving out some Sydney Mavundla on trumpet. And it's not necessarily a horn-oriented album, but I just love those guys so much. So, and other music. And I have other African musicians that my percussionists are African and Latino. I have a Senegalese master sabar drummer is one of my percussionists, and his name is Margay, and he's just a beautiful, beautiful spirit. And so it all mushes up. Sorry, it all comes together and mixes.
And that's the only point that I was going to make. When you do get people from such varying scopes around, then you get such a I don't know. You get like a really lovely, rich sound and fusion of cultures, which can then lead to a more richer sound and just creative process.
Well, it's nice for you to say that. I hope that's what everybody hears in it. It's how we feel about it. And it's how we hear it. So I say we because I feel so fortunate to have all these people that generously came to be a part of this project, and I think really believed in it. So I always kind of include. I say we.
Well, we are going to spend some more time with your lovely self after the break, because we've got to have a few advertisements. We don't be going nowhere. I'm Nadine. This is Emma. We are chillers, and I'll be seeing you on